Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Rox Burkey on today's show.
Good evening and welcome to the Indie Beacon Show. I am here tonight. This is going to be such a fun discussion with BB Denson and me. I can't wait to share this with you. Hey, BB, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Roxanne. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I want to make sure that we introduce you to all of the fans that watch this and you can share this with everyone. I want to talk about first how you decide to get into writing, because it's kind of interesting.
Well, I was working in environmental science. I did that for 7.5 years, and I found myself just getting really frustrated that the things that I was learning through work were so different from the things that I heard about, read about in the news, the media. Everything was portrayed in a different way than the way I found it out to be in reality. And I thought about it a lot because I was going to a lot of conferences and I was talking to a lot of scientists and people that really dig into the data. And they nitpick over every little way that somebody portrays data. Like, you can play with the statistics and say, pretty much anything you want. And these people would dig into it and not just look at the way it was done, but every bit of detail in it, just to make sure everything was right. And I kept learning that things were being twisted and weren't really the way they were in reality. And it's all so complex and nuanced, and you have to get into granular detail on the environment and climate change and different energy sources to truly understand the net result of what all these things are. And I found myself over and over saying, this is just so complicated. Somebody needs to take this and really simplify it. Somebody needs to take this and make it simple enough that a kid could understand it. And I said that and I laughed about it, and I just kind of waited for someone to do it because it just seemed like it was just out there, just waiting for someone to do. And typically when I have a brilliant idea, somebody else does too, and somebody else goes and does it. And I go, yeah, I thought about that. That's a really good idea. I'm glad they did it. But nobody ever seemed to do it. Like, there are a lot of really great books out there about the energy and environment, portraying the same kind of things that I'm saying. There's Alex Epstein's books, there's Greg Wrightstone's The Inconvenient Facts. Stephen Koonin just came out with Unsettled, which is phenomenal. There's a multitude of these books, but they're really thick and they're really complicated and they've got tons of data in them. And I just didn't believe people would take the time to really read them. People like to absorb things in these short little clips. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna do it. And just.
I took a college class in statistics, and I remember going through that class and learning that you can take statistics and you can bend them any way you want to be. So that kind of sounds like, where you were with this. But what was interesting in our discussion about this is the fact that, you wanted it to be simple enough for children. And so you started this wonderful little series, this 2-book series, called Gary the Go-Kart, which is really, really interesting. And Gary the Go-Kart, you had 2 phenomenal little books on that, that children really could read. So what was the first one?
So the first one was Gary the Go-Kart Wind Blows. And I chose that one because at the time I was getting really frustrated about how I was hearing how awful oil and gas was. And it was just making me so mad. I was working with oil companies on their environmental issues, and I saw that they were leaving places so much nicer than they found them. I mean, there's so many rules. First of all, even if they didn't want to, there's tons of rules in place, laws that they have to. And I was just so impressed with all they did. And the wind energy, the way it kills birds, I mean, there are so many people up in arms about this, but it just doesn't seem to make the news much or anything. And the birds is just kind of the most obvious thing and the most frightening and horrific part of it.
You know, it's very interesting because birds probably get damaged more from airplanes than they do from the the output from automobiles. So the first one was the wind blows. So what about the second one? Because that's a really, I don't know, kind of a curious title.
Well, I phrased it the way I did because I knew that I was going to be vilified for saying that carbon dioxide isn't a bad thing. That's, everyone's all anti-carbon these days. And I grew up that they say, when you're coming out of the closet, you're going to admit something you're going to be vilified for. And I was just going to come out of the closet and admit I don't believe in man-made catastrophic climate change. I just don't. And I'm not the only one. There's the CO2 coalition out there. There's a lot of organizations with some really, really highly regarded scientists on them. As a matter of fact, the thing that made me decide to write that book was I went to the TPPF's environmental conference in December, I think, 2017. And I heard Dr. Patrick Moore speak. He was one of the co-founders of Greenpeace. And he started Greenpeace with the best of intentions as they were trying to make the world better in lots of ways. And over the years, I think he stayed with them maybe 15 years, he realized that they had become just anti-industry instead of pro-life, pro-world, pro-people, animals, environment. It was all industry's bad, industry's bad. And I found him to genuinely be one of the most caring people I could imagine. And I heard him give this talk about carbon and how the whole history of how carbon has evolved over billions of years on our planet. And the point is the planet has always been changing and always will change. And we are just a minuscule little dot in the grand scheme of things to the things that cause our climate to change.
Exactly. And so, Gary the Go-Kart, it's written in a way that makes it palatable. It does make it so that young people can understand. But I think it also helps teach adults who haven't been exposed to some of the sciences. Was that your intention?
It absolutely was. As a matter of fact, each of the books has a page at the back of them where it's entitled "For the Adults in the Room." And I put some quotes and some facts. I think I even have Dr. Patrick Moore quoted in one of those. Because I realize if someone's reading this book, they're likely thinking, why the heck did she say this? Where does this come from? That doesn't make any sense. And I wanted there to be some resources for them to go back and go, oh, because I really believe that most people that believe wind energy is a good thing and that believe we really need to get the carbon dioxide out of our air and that they really believe that oil and gas are bad. The reason is because they've just never really heard the other side. It's not that they're dumb or they're stupid or they're bad people. I just think they haven't been exposed to it. And I wrote this book because I was trying to reach some people anyways that would be open. And I know a lot of people aren't open once they make up their mind and they don't want to hear the other side. But if someone's just not sure and they're willing to look at it, then maybe they'll start to see that there is a reason that there are a lot of us that are, on the other side of this
issue. So it's an issue, and there are two sides to every issue. Sometimes there's 6 sides to an issue. because you have a different frame of reference. So one of the things I found fascinating about these two stories is that you allow people to see another side, to learn something else. So before we go to a short break, is there a third one coming?
Oh, actually, not in the Gary the Go-Kart series. Unfortunately, my illustrator passed away just a few days after completing the Carbon book. So no, there won't be another one of those. But I do want to mention real quick one other thing. When I wrote these books, I tried to do it in a lighthearted way and in a fun way, and there's humor in there. I'm trying to get the kids to laugh at some things, and I have been told that kids do enjoy reading them and that they are fun and light. And I try also to. My Gary the Go-Kart is just a good emotional being that just really wants to try and do the right thing, and I'm hoping that comes across, and that people are at least curious, as he is, to try and explore and understand, so that we'll all keep learning.
Yep, and it's a perfect pause for us, BB. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsors, but I want you to come back and we're going to talk about your newest release.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Marianne Fairmouth is a career consultant with 30 years experience in the national recruiting world, a multi-award-winning author in multi-genres, and a speaker that gives presentations to help you succeed. Her book, Revolutionary Recruiting, made the top 20 global list of recruiting books. Find her on Amazon, your favorite bookstore, or at fairmouth.com.
Hello, I am the author Denise Bryson. My first book is The Things That Cross My Mind, Inspirational Poetry with Life Lessons. And then my audio book is Love's Reality, and it is also inspirational poetry with a jazzy flair. And then my new book is The Sex, the Lies, and the Soul Ties. They're really short stories written from a poetic expression. And then I have my first children book series, the Blinky series, which the first book is called Meet the Coins, and it is both in English and Spanish. And then the new book, From Coins to Bills. I am the author, Denise Bryson.
To embrace your children's imagination, check out Diane Floyd Bame's books for kids. There's The Moonling Adventures, all about the animals in the Serengeti. And then there's Harry the Camel, learning to love yourself just the way you are. Then The Little Girl in the Moon. There's one about friendship, another one about the big ideas, which is an inspirational story, and then Tour Tycho Town, right there in Tycho Crater on the moon. All of Diane Floyd Bame's books are available at B4R Store.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Rox Burkey on today's show.
Hey, welcome back to the Indie Beacon Show, and I'm here with BB Denson, and she has so many fun things, and we talked about, Gary the Go-Kart in the first segment and kind of making it humorous and learning experience for children and their parents, but that's not your latest release, is it, BB?
It is not. I deviated and did something a little bit different with my last book.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that you created really a conservative political satire, and it's starring our leader, our president, beneficial accomplishments of Joe Biden. So tell me a little bit about this and why you put it together.
I was just feeling really frustrated in December or so. The news was also bad, and I was just feeling helpless and like I kind of had to do something, and I couldn't fit, the problems are just overwhelming, and I just had to do something. And then finally, when it hit me, it just made me laugh so hard every time I thought about it that I just kind of got carried away. As you'll see, I have here, so the back side of the book it says beneficial accomplishments of Joe Biden, written in Chinese. The front of the book He is in, obviously in the Oval Office, the back is, he's a Chinese pagoda. It's a funny book. And I think that obviously conservatives are going to like it, but I have been told that there's liberals, if they have a good sense of humor, it will make them laugh as well.
What was interesting about this is, I know that you, in fact, are you're a best-selling author on this. This book is available globally, and it's been selling globally. I think that's just phenomenal. So did you plan on that when you first released it?
I had no idea. All the books have, and there's certain places, certain countries or whatever in particular, where they have certain issues where they tend to sell quite a bit. I guess that happens with everybody, but yeah, it's kind of exciting whenever I see that the things coming in showing where all they've come from. So that's been quite fun.
So have you done some little chats and talks about this book? Because I believe on your website, I actually saw some photographs with you and some pretty important notables on there. Yeah,
it has been so much fun. I got to, I think you saw the Ted Cruz picture on there, and Tommy Tuberville, and there's Dick Cheney, and there's Chris Wallace. So there have been some big name people. It's been really fun to get to do that. But I also give talks and do book signings and go to book festivals, and all of those things are all written up on my website, sitteronthis.com, where I just keep a calendar of things that are going on.
No, and that's really good. But you to a degree, you're, I guess, for lack of a better term, kind of poking a little fun from your perspective. And, everyone has a right to their opinion. And I'm the first person to stand up and say, I will support your right to have an opinion, and welcome that you have an opinion that you created on your own from your own fact finding. So it sounds to me like from the Gary the Go-Kart series, as well as the accomplishments of Joe Biden book and how you're making a statement, that you're just kind of trying to peel back the onion of what's real from what your frame of reference is.
I am, and it's when I see sort of a void, and I feel there's a void that needed to be filled. And in the case of my Biden book, I feel like the liberal, if you want to say mine's conservative and that's liberal, the liberal perspective tends to be the funny ones for some reason. There are some, but there's not a lot of conservative humor out there. Not a lot of comedians are, and it's more serious for some reason. And I just felt like, especially when I wrote this, I just felt like there was a time we just needed something to laugh about, and I hope that this has helped with that.
Well, and I think throughout time, political figures in general have been absolutely wonderful for people to poke fun at. I mean, on either side of the political aisle, that's been done. But this is a very interesting perspective on it. Now, this is a rather long book, right? I mean, how many pages are in this book?
Well, there's, I think it's 159 pages maybe, but it's 838 words. It's an easy read. It's a fun read. It won't take you long.
All right. So that's that's just very interesting. So are you going to do something else along this line? Are you kind of hooked on political satire at this point?
I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. This one, when it came to me, it just came to me in a rush, as did the other two books. Like when it hits me, I just can't do anything else until it's done, and I work like crazy until it's done. But I would need to have something like that. I do think that my theme, if you will, is that mine. I like to condense things, and they seem to be not as wordy, say, as the other books of similar issues. So I'm starting to notice, I guess that's my hallmark right there.
There you go. So do you have some advice for, upcoming authors who want to speak their mind or state their opinion, and ways that they can do this in a constructive way? because you're not being mean. You're just, this is your opinion and you're sharing it. So what's your advice?
I just think you have to be prepared for the people that the naysayers. You know, I have people that write reviews about my books they'll see the cover and not buy the book and give me a bad review how awful it is and say that it's propaganda, oil companies wrote this. Like, really? I'd like to see one check from an oil company. The people will say anything and dislike you, so you just kind of have to be tough enough and believe in your own convictions and just do it and not be afraid. Be fearless.
There you go, fearless. So what else are you doing from a writing perspective and a speaking perspective? Are you helping other people? Are you still trying to learn your craft? What are we up to here, BB?
That is so funny you would ask that. I do one other little thing, and it has nothing to do with any of this, but I have a friend who is the editor of the Energy Corridor Living magazine, and I write a monthly little piece for her, and it's just about cute animals.
About what?
Animals, pets, people's dogs, and we get really cute pictures and I write little stories about them, and that's all. But I'm retired and I just do all of this for fun, and I do that to help my friend and because people seem to like it.
Oh no, it's good practice though, right? Part of writing is always going to be some level of practice.
It is, and it's just light fluff and easy and fun and easy to do and fun to do because I meet all these different people and find out about their pets. So it's fun.
There you go. All right. So what I want to do is I want to take one more break to hear from our sponsor. When we come back, I want to go ahead and find out about your social media, where you're going to be, how people can reach out to you. So will you stick around, please, BB?
That sounds great. Will do.
Thank you.
Publishing marketing package for authors. $1,500 value, save 40% now. Includes a 6-piece marketing kit of 250 bookmarks, 250 business cards, 250 postcards, 1 table banner, 1 table runner, and 50 download cards, plus book cover design, ebook creation, PDF setups, upload to Ingram Spark, scroll placement, video commercial, and interview on IBS. Plus much more. Email bourgeoismedia@look.com for details or bourgeoismedia.com.
Hi, I'm Mel Greenberg, author of Running with Our Eyes Closed, book 1 in the Empty Nested series. To the world, Samantha has the perfect life. 3 wonderful children, a loving husband, so she thought, and a life split between Dallas and Italy. When her youngest leaves for college, it all comes crashing down, forcing Samantha to re-examine everything. Over 7 days in one of the most romantic countries in the world, Samantha faces the past she thought she'd overcome and begins to redefine her role as a woman, a wife, and a mother.
What would you do if you had to put your life on hold to care for a loved one? Well, during COVID, almost all of us have been doing just that. I'm Charlotte Canyon, award-winning author, actress, and speaker. And my book, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, shows you how you can revive, thrive, and survive with 4 golden rules. You have to love one another. You have to respect one another. You have to have patience with one another. And most of all, you've got to forgive one another. I'm Charlotte Canyon, and I approve this message.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Rox Burkey on today's show.
Welcome back to the Indie Beacon Show, and I'm here with BB Denson, and we're just having a blast, or at least I'm having a blast tonight. So, BB, I want to talk about, how people can find you, because I think that's very important. So let's start there. How can people find you online? Because everybody can be found online.
Well, the main place would be my website, desideramus.com. Desideramus, that's a hard thing to remember. It comes from the Desiderata, the poem. It's a version of that word. Go placidly amid the noise and haste. Anyways, it is a version of that. And so that's the main place where I will keep photos and my calendar, and there's a way to contact me through it and all that. Also on social media, I'm on MeWe and Gab and Parler, all as BB Denson. And then on Facebook, Desideramus, it would be where you would go to on Facebook to find it.
Now, I noticed on your website, Desideramus, you have a really great picture where you're going through the graphics for one of the Gary the Go-Kart books, but you have a really cool dog with you. So is that how you got this pet thing and this book thing together at the same time?
I guess so. My whole family, everyone's just super attached to their dogs. You should see at Christmas here. It's like a zoo here as all the girls come in. One of my daughters has 3 dogs and fosters on occasion 3 others. So she'll have 6 dogs in her little 2-bedroom place.
Holy moly.
Whole family is like that. So so that's why I guess I had to have a picture with, we have a British lab, and that's Thatcher, and he is in that picture with me. And all our dogs, from my husband and I and our immediate family, all the dogs' names have a political theme to them, actually. So my husband likes to say Thatcher is named for Margaret's long-suffering husband.
Gotcha. Little heart. Okay, and so can people email you?
Easiest way would be to go through Desideramus and click through there.
Okay.
But it is bbdenson@desideramus.com. But if that's hard to find or remember, you can go to his link that Alan's going to put on the screen, and you can use that link and then find it. Now,
I know that your books are available, on lots of normal commercial avenues, but they are also available on the B4R store, which is an online bookstore where, you actually can optimize your revenues. So people can go there and get copies of your books as well, right?
They can, and that would be great. Please do.
Okay, where are you going to be next, in case somebody wants to meet you?
Oh, since there's an ongoing stream of things going on, so I've got a book signing next week. I'm going to Becker's Books, which, if you haven't been there, is a very, very cool, I think it's the oldest large independent bookstore in Houston. And this will be my second time to go down there for a book signing. It's just one of those places where there's just walls and walls of old books, and you just can browse around and look through those. So I've got that coming up, and a book reading for children at Katie Budget Books. And then I'll be going to the Texas Authors Festivals. Everyone I can get into, I'm going to go.
Oh, and that'll be awesome. Everybody can meet you and see you and greet you and get their signed book, right? You do sign books for people. So that is awesome. It just came to mind. Do you also do like library discussions with, kids circles and stuff with Gary the Go-Kart?
Our libraries in the area, haven't opened up yet, but I would in a heartbeat. I will go. I've gone to kindergartens and other schools, and talked to kids and read the books and all that. And I do that every time I can.
Well, I'm looking forward to making sure everybody gets copies of the Gary the Go-Kart series for their kids or their grandkids. And I look forward to seeing you soon, BB. It's always nice to have you and nice to chat with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time today. I appreciate you having me. I enjoyed it.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thanks.
Thank you for watching or listening to the Indie Beacon Show, produced by Biala Bourgeois for the Authors Marketing International LLC. Copyright 2021. Voiceover by Biala Bourgeois. If you would like to be a sponsor of the show, please email us at authorsmarketing@outlook.com. If you would like to be on the show, please complete the form found on our website at indiebeacon.com. You may also watch previous year's shows on the website. Music is Frolic of Words, created for Indie Beacon.